Welcome back to the rules of engagement. Before we jump into talking about how the mid-game evolves in this matchup and some of the cool things that happens there, let me remind you guys, we've got a YouTube site with every single piece of content we do here at Major League Gaming. For all the Starcraft content, go to youtube.com/official_MLGSC2. Every single VOD from the Winter Season Showdowns is up there. Every VOD from Rules of Engagements is up there. Every VOD from the Dallas Championships is up there. Every VOD from the match you just saw, the series of matches, the winter exhibition matches that started earlier today and is going to continue for the next couple weeks, is going to be up there within an hour or two of when it ends. So a lot of great content there, not to mention top 5s, top 10s, combos of the days, NOS performance tips. So much content there. It's all easily accessible via playlist. There's a bunch of playlists there, so you can find whatever type of content you're looking for. Go ahead, check it out, and if you like it, throw us a subscribe. We do our best to get it all up there very quickly, and of course, very high quality as well. So now let's talk about how the mid-game evolves in this Bomber versus Goswser matchup. And the first thing I want to talk about is the current state, because the game opened kind of funny with the player using a third base, Bomber doing kind of a retro opening, which actually Bomber does like almost every game, but he does different retro openings, so it's kind of his thing. So we're going to talk about the current mid-game state. Then we'll talk about ways to defend Terran drop play, because that's something that everyone's talking about. We saw Seed struggle with it in that series earlier today. If you missed that, that'll be up on VOD very soon. And of course, all through the Winter Season Showdowns and then the Winter Championship at MLG Dallas, drop play was one of the big themes. So a couple techniques Goswser does to try to defend it. And then we're going to talk about the effect of drop-heavy play on a Terran's mid-game, how it affects their ability to do certain things. Everyone's talking about how it affects the other player, what the Zerg or the Protoss has to do to not die to drop play. I also want to talk a little bit about something that people overlook, is how does using drops extensively affect a Terran's play as they advance through that mid-game. So now we're going to start this off basically right where we left it, or shortly after where we left it in that last segment at the 11:30 mark. And right now what we can see happened, Goswser is rebuilding his third base. He's also taking a fourth base as well. You know, why not? You kill one hatch, rebuild two. And he knows he is in a pretty good shape to defend because he's got those 1-1 upgrades. He's ahead in the 2-2. Bomber, on the other hand, has a nice economic advantage. We can see here, pretty much catching up on workers. Of course, Goswser has stopped some of his drone production until his third base gets nearing to completion because, he's already saturated, right? Whereas Bomber has that third CC done. But, of course, Bomber's production isn't too high. He's still only on these 3 barracks and 1 factory. Starport just finishing up right now, adding 2 more barracks. So while he has an economic advantage, he actually doesn't have an army advantage until he can use that economic advantage to build more production buildings and then use those production buildings to build more armies. So it takes a couple minutes in StarCraft for an economic advantage to actually turn into an army advantage. Of course, he's a little bit behind in upgrades as well. So going forward here, what Bomber wants to do is kind of wait for that to kick in. But instead, he says, you know what? Let's move across the map and kill this guy because I want to win 3-0 and get this game over with. So he's charging across the map, and this is not really an ideal time to move across for him because of what I mentioned about the mid-game. Remember how I talked earlier in the opening how these small groups in Marine Tank are basically not very good against a heavy Zergling count. And the reason why that is because Marines against Zerglings, if you analyze their stats, cost for cost, Zerglings actually beat Marines just if you're doing the math on the stats. But as the Marine count increases, what happens is they are able to kill Zerglings faster than Zerglings can even get in on them. As the Marines kind of ball up, they get less surface area, and the Zerglings will lose so many of their number trying to close the distance that the Marines start to win. But in these small numbers like this, even though the army sizes are actually, favoring a Terran player, you have to realize that actually a lot of the army is back here. So it's roughly even army sizes active out on the map. But with the Zerg's ability to basically be more cost efficient in these small battles, with the upgrade advantage having 1-1 versus just 1-0, this attack is actually kind of doomed to fail. And also the other factor here is that look at all the creep spread. Goswser has gotten great creep spread, even given the early aggression that's put onto him. And so as he snipes his first tank, just to try to buy some time to produce a few more units, what's going to happen is he's going to set up this massive flank here over at the top. And the key aspect of this flank is that normally what Terrans do when they have a more sizable push or playing a little slow is this area right here. This is like the key area. So if we take a look at the screen here, this zone here, this is the key zone for a Terran player to worry about, because if a Zerg attacks from the front, right, what can happen is only one direction, the Zerglings will clump up, and unless you're Automaton 3000 or whatever, you're going to lose a lot of Zerglings to every tank hit. Not to mention the fact that the Marines can get in front of tanks and they can kite backwards, killing more and more Zerglings as they close that distance with the tanks. But if you attack, and additionally from this back route here, the Marines will back up into another wave of Zerglings. The tank shots will be more spread out, not able to kill as many Zerglings with their splash damage, and therefore the Zerg can trade much, much more efficiently. So the key thing here is, can a Zerg flank on creep? Because a Zerg can always flank, right? They can just run units around on a map, unless it's some like weird one-channel map. They can always find a way to flank. And the key thing here is, can they flank on creep, where they can close that distance very, very, very fast. And here, because the Goswser uses great creep spread, he's able to flank through this area here. And as we can see, when Bomber extends, this flank crosses so fast, one siege tank shot goes down, but it only kills the one Zergling and maybe like a couple more. We can see here, it's got 6 kills, but a couple of those were from earlier. And then the Marines, they're not there to cover. There's only a few Marines here. These back tanks get swarmed over while the front tanks die, or the front units die from Zerglings from the front. So very, very effective defense there, and Bomber kind of gave up a lot of his advantage, or potential advantage, going into the later stages of the mid-game from that attack. So now we're going to move on to the point where Bomber no longer has this amazing... he no longer has the opportunity to get a significant army advantage because he threw away that army here. So he's going into drop play, which is something a lot of Zerg players have struggled with in multiple different ways. We can see here, and there's another drop coming in across here. And there's several ways that Zerg players can defend against this. One, every base that's vulnerable, you leave a bunch of Zerglings there. You put 2 spine crawlers over there. You have to put a spine and a spore crawler right here, a spine right there. This base, you have to put maybe a spine and a spore. This base, a couple spines. Basically devote at least 1,000 minerals into spreading Zerglings and sack defense everywhere, right? But if we take a look at this, remember how the game opened, right? Goswser lost his 3rd base. His economy is not great. Right now, because he shattered his army, he can go and produce a lot of drones. We'll see a lot more drones being built over the next 30 seconds to a minute. But right now, he doesn't have a great economy. He knows Bomber's on 3 bases. Bomber lost an army, but if you look at the structures tab, Bomber is now on 5 barracks, and that'll be, 4 of them with reactors. He's building a 2nd factory. In fact, actually, he already has 2 factories. And then he's even building 3 more barracks here, or 2 more barracks in command center, excuse me. So Bomber's really powering up. And about 4 to 5 minutes from now, maybe even 3 minutes from now, he's going to have an insanely strong push going. And to beat that push, Goswser either needs overwhelming numbers, which he's not going to get because of the fact he's taking so much damage at his 3rd base, or what he needs to do is progress to the hive tech at very cost-efficient units. So what he's going to do to defend drops is he can't afford to spend a lot of resources to defend every base. He's going to combine tech into hive units, right? He's got the infestors out, and he's got the spire done, so he can go straight to broodlords. He's going to combine that, and then also use those units to defeat the drops. As we go forward here, we can see he's building 5 corruptors, and combining fungal growth and corruptors, he can start killing these medevacs. Of course, corruptors alone, it can speed away, right? Right now the speed's on cooldown, but normally those drops can use the speed boost to get away. But if you combine fungal growth with those corruptors, all of a sudden you have a somewhat okay drop defense. Now, of course, mutalists are faster, maybe a little better at defending drops, but you can only mutalists are more vulnerable to Marines. Corruptors won't die so fast, and of course, corruptors, once you get this hive tech right here, they can be converted into your late game power to stop a potential 3-base death push. Bomber in this case, in fact, is actually building a 4th command center, and in fact, even there's a 5th one going down somewhere. There it is. He's going up to 5 command centers. So in this case, he's not going for that 3-base billion marine quick max push. But Goswser doesn't know that yet. And if he was, Goswser needs to be able to have enough infestors and broodlords out in time to deal with that, because he no longer has the option to swarm over that push with mass speedings and banings because of the economic damage he took earlier. So this is one of the most effective ways we saw in MLG Dallas. Actually, Goswser did a better job than almost any other Zerg at defending drops by using this combination of the infestors and the corruptors. And going forward here, another double drop across the top. And, of course, another loading up a few medevacs here to try to get another drop going down across the bottom. So we can see here a lot of drop play being issued here by Bomber. But as he goes across the map with this drop play, what's going to happen, right? There's infestors waiting, and then, of course, there should be corruptors returning home somewhere. Let's actually go grab those corruptors. Here they are. So they were out trying to find a drop here. But now they're returning, and this drop play is pretty much going to be shut down. I mean, he's going to go in here and try to get some damage done. A nice drop over at the top takes the hatchery out before the Zergians can push that away. But this drop here gets pretty much totally shut down by Fungals and Corruptors. And so what happened here is Bomber basically sacrificed 30 food of drops, right? Because he didn't really kill anything but this hatchery to kill a hatchery. And now this is where we talk about the effect of drop-heavy play on a Terran player. So if you look back at Bomber's base, what's happened? So, I mean, basically what we're talking about is Bomber committed very heavily to drop play. I mean, he loaded up 50 food units. If you look at the unit tab, 113 Zerglings to 28 Marines, right? I mean, yeah, he's got 10 Widow Mines, but it's still basically Goswser has a much stronger army because Bomber's sacrificed so much to this heavy drop play. So if you're a Terran player and you commit as much as Bomber did to these drops, I mean, there's still units hanging over here, and you're unable to recover the units. You can't drop and get away. 3 base death bushes, like we see flash all the time, are not likely to work because, yes, you killed their economy, but if you then just go attack them, remember, economy takes a couple minutes to really make a difference in the game. So if you hurt their economy and trade army, but then you attack right after that, that doesn't actually make sense because your army is going to be weaker than theirs and you're just going to lose the battle. So if you're doing drop-heavy play, you're unlikely to end the game very soon because you're attacking their economy, which more pertains to how their strength will be later in the game. So you need to make plans for the late game. We see Bomber doing that here, going for airplay. And that, of course, is one of the strongest ways Terrans can go for that late game, is by going for those late game air units. And, of course, 4 more command centers, going mass orbital onto 4 bases of planetary here. Another command center here. Another command center is being moved over there, I believe, or it's going to be built here very shortly. Bomber's gearing up for the late game. And this is because he knows that he's sacrificed a lot of army strength to slow down Goswser's economy. So he's saying, if I'm trading my army for your economy, right now I can't push and win. But over the next few minutes, you're going to be struggling to rebuild rebuild to back what you had before I did that. Whereas the next few minutes, I can basically make the next jump to get even more economy, even more tech, get even more far ahead, right? That's the standard idea, is when you're ahead, try to get more ahead. If you're down in army, but you're ahead in economy, use that economy to leverage an even greater advantage as the game goes forward. So we'll take a short break now, and then we'll start talking about how the TVZ progresses in this amazing matchup in the late game.